security consultant, Femi Aratokun-Ale. He joins me now on the news for an expert's view on all of this. So, Femi, thank you so much for joining us on the news at this time.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on the program today. It's been 2 years that the Sars has been going on, and sadly, what we can see happening today really shows that the government is yet to understand that they need to be on the side of the protesters. The government is yet to understand that they need to be on the side of the member of the public. The government is yet to understand that there's differences between relationship with the member of the public and the judicial system and the police officers. So what is playing out today clearly shows that we're not yet there. We're working towards it. The police system seems to have changed a bit, but still we can see that the brutality in when people cry out is still there and is enforced in a very different way that we've seen in the past.
Okay, Femi, from this protest or this peaceful march that we've seen at the Lekki toll gate, do you think that the government will be willing to yield to their demands? Remember, in 2020, it was more of a five memorandum of understanding that they were asking for, calling for the release of protesters, a psychological training for the police officers, and an end to the disbursement of Sars. Do you think the government will listen to their demands right now?
Look, to be honest with you, what the government should do right now is there should be a judicial report to actually publish and put an end to this protest, to this Sars saga, but we've not seen that from the federal government, the state government, and the Lekki toll gate saga. However, the government should have systematically allowed this protest to go on by signing an MOU with the lead protesters that, look, we want business to go, we want you to exercise your civil rights, and let's end this in a very good manner. But we've not really seen that happening. And it's still showing me, where are we? We're very close to election. Then what are we campaigning about? What exactly do we want to tell the member of the public that we're actually doing? Are we going to be for or against the member of the public? We're not in the dictatorship era. So there should be civility in whatever we do, but we ain't seeing that civility cut across board today. Today should be a turning point whereby the Lagos state government will say, you know what? You are the Lagosians, you are the Nigerians, and your voice are heard. But we've not seen that happen today.
Okay, we still have Bernard on standby. Thank you so much, Femi. Bernard, I don't know if you can hear me at the moment. Bernard. So if you can hear me, can you get us up to speed on what's going on at the moment? Bernard, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Rita.
Okay, wonderful. So what's going on at the moment?
Yes, so I was saying earlier that, the crowds had to be dispersed eventually with canisters of tear gas. At some point, the tear gas stopped, and then there were water cannons. I'm not sure what exactly was in the water. It was looking brownish red. Initially, you asked at some point, in the heat of the whole drama, if journalists or press officials were disturbed. Initially, I said no. But then there was a shot I got on phone, as a matter of fact, on my phone camera, where water cannon, water was being shot out of cannons, and then there was a canister of tear gas that was targeted at where journalists were standing. It flew out and then hit a vehicle, and then, I had to move out of the way, I'm sorry. And then the journalists there were dispersed. That, I felt, was completely unnecessary. But besides that, everything now is calm. The toll gate, as you can see, has returned to normal. All that we have left here, police operatives all lined up on my right and then on my left as well on the other side of the road. But everything so far, calm and normalcy has restored to this toll gate. Vehicular movement is now easy, and there's nobody here anymore, just a few members of the press.
Okay, earlier when I spoke to you, there were about 3 people that we saw in the police van, and when you spoke to us, you said that the police said they will eventually release them. Do you have updates on that?
Well, the 3 of them were in the van as the last time I checked, and then the van drove off. The police officer who I spoke to did assure that they will be released, but so far I have no information as to where they were taken to or if they have eventually been released. He did give his word, but there was no way to follow up on that.
Now, judging from this peaceful march, I know earlier on you said that they had increased were you expecting a much larger turnout? If you look at the turnout of people that came out for the peaceful march, did you expect more?
Well, I actually was expecting a larger number, to be honest, but eventually that didn't happen. But then again, you know, regardless of the size or the number of people that came here, I think their mark was made. I think the information that they were trying to pass was eventually passed. They were able to hold down traffic at some point. They circled this place at least 2 times. And then there were some vehicles that, while passing, were also blaring their horns. Passengers in vehicles, commercial and private, were equally, raising their voices, chanting songs of solidarity and waving Nigerian flag. So I think they made the mark regardless of the turnouts and the numbers that they had here. And then let's not forget as well that they had some notable people here. They had Fars the bad guy, the celebrity. They also had Mr. Macaroni, who is also an online celebrity. And then there was, of course, Amoyele Sowore, who is a presidential candidate here, for the forthcoming elections in Nigeria. He spoke to the crowd. He spoke to us, as a matter of fact. So maybe not a very large number, but their mark was made and their voice was clearly heard.
Okay, thank you so much, Bernard. I'll get back to you, but shortly let me hear from Femi. Now, Femi, what some of the demands that you're asking for is that justice be served. Now, the Judicial Panel of Inquiry set up by the Lagos State government came up with their white paper, but the Lagos State government said that there were discrepancies and continue to say that this was not true. What do you make of all this while the protesters are still demanding for justice?
Well, this is exactly what the protesters are actually saying, that look, until we see the true result of who ordered, who shot fire, and who did what. Until then, I don't think we're going to have a case closed or a closure to this Sars program in Nigeria. And this is where the protester stands today. Yeah, just like your journalist said, their voice were heard. They were able to pass out their message. And that is even a shocking one to the Nigerian populace at large, that yes, Sars is still continuing. And the lessons learned today is this: what exactly are the police doing when it comes to relationship with them and the member of the public? What is the government doing when it comes to crowd control and the public, when it comes to riot? We've not really seen a whole lot play out, but the good thing is this: no lives were lost, and everything seems to have come back to normal. But we still don't know what will be the end result today or in the near days to come. Remember, election is still there, and they have a whole lot to play along and around with. How are they going to deal with all this? Are the police going to be brutal? Are they going to sit on the fence? Or are they going to be on the government side? We don't know yet. So what I can say is this: the government should act swiftly and look for a way to meddle into this and bring everything to a halt.
Okay, thank you so much, Femi. Now, quickly, Bernard, while we're looking at the effect of this protest, you talked about the fact that you had expected more. Now, 2023 is around the corner, and from this protest, we saw firing of tear gas and water cannons. Now, how do you think this has affected the way people feel about protests? Do you think that's one of the reasons why we have a more reduced number of people coming out for protests?
Rita, could you please take that again? I didn't get it clearly.
Okay, now I was looking at the number of people that came out for the protest. Now, we saw from the protest, we saw that there were firing of tear gas and water cannons. Now, how has this affected the mindset of people when there is a call for a protest in the country?
Of course, people are never happy when they try to protest peacefully and then the police respond or security operatives respond with force. It's a two-way thing, I think. First of all, again, I don't want to call them protesters, maybe demonstrators, if you like. We're going about their peaceful business, and then they stopped at some point. I think the police can and should eventually find ways to control crowds and to control traffic if they want to, if that's the excuse, without using maximum force. The tear gas that was deployed initially, I do not think is necessary. I think there are other ways to do that. And then after using tear gas, now using water cannons. Now, this clearly is not going to deter people from protesting. Rather, it's going to encourage them to do more. You're going to have more people wanting to challenge the police, wanting to challenge security operatives, seeing that if they come out in good numbers, security operatives will try to use force. And that, of course, in itself is a good story to tell anywhere around the world. It's going to clearly make security operatives look bad, So they should channel their energy towards more peaceful ways of, of settling issues amongst protesters, particularly when the protest is peaceful.